TikTok's our biggest channel at 125,000 followers. It took us a little bit to figure out how to use TikTok. Like for us, it was figuring out when to post and like the type of video. So like one time we would spend like 2 days on a certain video just from like editing and sound and like getting this thing like looking really, really good. And we learned like those videos just didn't do good. And we'd literally take our iPhone, and then there was like one video that did like 5 million views. If you're looking to get better at TikTok, just start posting. Like it doesn't have to be a super high-end production. It can just literally be something that you film in 20 seconds, throw it up there, because you literally have no idea what's ever going to go viral on TikTok. It's just kind of a guessing game, but just putting more videos out there and seeing what works.
Hello and welcome to the DTC podcast. I'm Eric Dick. If you haven't already, make sure you go to directtoconsumer.co right now and subscribe free to our twice weekly newsletter. Now, today's podcast is a doozy as we chart the 1,000% year-over-year growth of the category-defining snacking sensation Muddy Bites with founder and CEO Jarod Steffes. For years, ice cream manufacturers have put delicious chocolate at the bottom of their sundae cones. For many people, this quickly became their favorite part. Unfortunately, no one made just that until now. Muddy Bites has stormed onto the scene, starting with a sold-out Kickstarter campaign and hasn't slowed down since, growing 1,000% year over year in its first full year of production, and plans for multiple 100% more of growth year over year every year after. This podcast covers the key learning and insights from Jarod's incredible growth journey, including the aha moment and the first steps he took to make Muddy Bites real, what it was like hand-rolling hundreds of thousands of Muddy Bites in the early days, why a systems and manufacturing investment changed the game and further built Muddy Bites' moat, how a partnership with Fuck Jerry and other meme pages has skyrocketed their growth, why Amazon's internal team reached out to Muddy Bites when they went #1 in the cookie category in just a few weeks. This podcast is chock full of velvety insights and delicately wrapped in a tiny Belgian waffle cone. I hope you find it as delicious as I did. Now on with the show. Hey retailers, ever feel like your shopper experience feels just like everyone else's? That's probably because it does, and it shouldn't. Bluecore matches online shoppers with the products they'll buy next across channels like email, on-site, paid media, social, and SMS. With Bluecore's retail data and predictive intelligence, brands automate personalized content, offers, and recommendations for each individual shopper, enabling brands like Noble to increase conversions by 15% and drive a 46% increase in repeat buyers. Visit Bluecore.com to discover why brands like Noble, Express, and Bliss chose Bluecore to automate and scale their multi-channel personalization. Welcome to the D2C podcast, Jarod. Could you start with a rundown of your e-commerce journey starting Muddy Bites?
Yeah, so we started Muddy Bites back in like 2018 as kind of like an idea. And the idea was really like, bottom part of a sundae cone, everybody knows that bottom tip filled with chocolate, but nobody sells it. And so my wife was literally my girlfriend at the time, now my wife, was eating a sundae cone at the time, and she gave me the bottom part. And I kind of literally sat there. It was kind of like a light bulb above my head, like, nobody's selling this. Why can't I? And so immediately got home, went on the internet. I was like, searching bottom part of sundae cone, who's selling it, who's not, and whatnot, and figured out nobody was. And so I was like, okay, there might be an opportunity here. So from there, I hit up my partner, Tyler, who's my other co-founder, who had previous CPG experience in kind of food and retail. And I was like, hey, I've got this idea. What do you think? He's like, let's do it. And so from there, it was really us trying to figure out, okay, how do we make these cones? How do we distribute them? How do we sell them online? And so kind of our first stop, because I think at the time we were probably 17, 18, 19 years old, somewhere in there, basically broke college kids. And so kind of our mentality from there was like, let's launch on Kickstarter, make sure, we like the product, but do other people love the product? And so Kickstarter was really kind of two good avenues for us. Number one, fund our first production run. And then number two, make sure other people wanted the bottom part of a sundae cone and not just us. And so that was kind of our kickstart was through Kickstarter.
Did you, I just wanted to ask about Kickstarter. Did you sort of Google, best ways to do Kickstarter? Did you get in touch with certain people, or did you just kind of enter it organically, fill it out and see how it did?
Honestly, we signed up and we started filling out kind of the information that they kind of help you, kind of like a setup guide, so to say. And we just kind of did it. We didn't reach out to, there's obviously some Kickstarter agencies that claim that they can help you, so on and so forth. At the time, we just thought all of that was kind of fluff. Like, they're not really going to help us. And so we just kind of tried on our own. And, if we had to reduce over, we maybe would have tried an agency, but, for us, it was kind of like, let's just get this thing up, see what happens, and go from there.
And how to do?
So we set out to do $10,000, and again, this was back in 2019, January 2019. We set out to do 10,000. We hit that within 48 hours and finished the campaign just under 16,000. And we could have gone probably higher, but like once we hit that goal, we're like, okay, let's stop spending money. Like, let's just save what we can. If we end up higher, great, and move on, kind of thing.
Amazing. Yeah, if you're going with an agency, they'd want you to put it higher. That's for sure.
Right, exactly. And like at the time, like that was literally that $10,000 was like our capital. Like that was our that we were going to use to fund the first production run and really get this thing off the ground. So we just didn't want to put more fuel in the fire, even though we probably should have. But live and learn.
T- Tell me about that first production run.
So yeah, obviously you're selling the bottom part of the sundae cone, and just for reference, like nobody in the entire world can actually make a waffle cone this small. It's actually physically and scientifically impossible when you're talking about these big convectionary ovens. So we had to figure out, okay, one, how do we make a cone this small? But two, how do we do this at like a mass scale to where labor and production wise makes sense? And so from there, we literally, I think at the end of the summer, we had probably 50 employees in about a 20,000, or excuse me, 2,000 square foot facility, literally making these things by hand. If I showed you a video, you would say it's very like low entrepreneurial, like down to the nitty gritty kind of like atmosphere. Like we just got down to work and we just literally made
And
cones for by hand.
and was it just like actually rolling small tiny cones, or was it taking large cones and cutting them?
It was a little bit of both. I can't get super nitty gritty into it, but like it was very labor intensive. And like Kickstarter days, we had 30 bites per bag, and now we're about 14.
Wow.
So
How
like it
long would
was
a bag
almost
take?
double. Honestly, I was just trying to think about this today, but one single bag, it's like you're literally physically making a cone, filling it with chocolate, and then putting them into a bag, sealing the bag. One bag would take us probably a couple minutes, 5 minutes maybe. Like it takes
Okay, okay.
forever. And then like
Yeah,
every
yeah.
order would have, 5, 10, 15 bags. So it's like you finish one bag and you're like, crap, now I gotta do four more just to finish the order.
That's
Um,
crazy. Oh, so back to the beginning. So you figured out this method, and Kickstarter had launched. And then what marketing efforts did you put into place in order to like, because to jump to a 2,000 square foot facility, and was it 15 or 50? It was 15 employees at that
yeah.
time.
Yeah. So I
Uh,
mean,
what were you doing on the marketing side?
So I should back up. So like Kickstarter, we had probably 500 square foot facility, just basically a
Okay,
corner of a kitchen essentially.
got
And
it.
from there, we spent anywhere from I think it was 4 to 8 months just kind of R&D. How do we make these things faster? How do we get these to our backers? And once we shipped them off to the Kickstarter backers, they loved them. We got nothing but positive feedback. We're like, okay, let's launch an online store and see what happens. And so November 4th of 2019, we launched our online store at muddybites.com. That day, I think we did 25K in sales, and literally we had three employees. And I remember Tyler telling me that they literally sat there looking at like the Shopify dashboard, like live feed, and like all these orders were flying in, and they're just thinking, crap, now we got to make all these bites, and it's super labor intensive. And so like we got to hire a ton of people. And so we found
Yeah.
a facility in Ames, Iowa that was about 2,200 square feet. And, we just wanted a hiring frenzy, basically just college students looking for, money to pay their tuition, but also like, Iowa State's kind of a party school, so to say. And so they wanted some beer money, and we're like, okay, we'll take some, we'll get some more work in there. So I think at one point we had probably close to 45 employees in there. And about a 2,200 square foot between a day shift and a night shift, just literally making bites.
And what's driving and this is all D2C at this point, which is what makes this also just such a cool story. This is mostly driven through Facebook ads.
Yeah, so it's strictly D2C, no Amazon at the time, no Walmart.com, just straight through our website. And everything was primarily dominant through Facebook and Instagram ads. And I think we are pretty light at that time. And it was primarily just organic reach. I mean, we would go viral on Facebook at a snap of a finger just because, like, sure, the branding and the product's really good, but like the thing that helps us sell is just like the idea of the bottom part of a sundae cone. Like it kind of just sells itself. And like once you explain what the product is, the light bulb goes off in your head. It's like, oh my God, I want that. And so it really kind
Yes,
of
because
makes us easy for us to sell it, so to say.
it does. It sounds like the crack of candy of I can just see it at the movies as like the ultimate movie treat,
Right.
as well.
Exactly. And like at the time we had kind of our old branding. We rebranded back in July of this year here in 2021. we used to have kind of this crappy yellow, as I called it, and kind of a brown. And now we've got some really nice branding associated with our product that kind of gives that sense of nostalgic feel from like an old ice cream parlor, eating like a sundae cone and stuff like that. So we've come a long ways and really super excited. But, after we launched the online store, DTC was doing really good. So we're like, let's try retail. And so we launched in about 200 retail stores between 7-Eleven and Hy-Vee here in the Midwest. That was in February of 2020. And then, of course, March came around where COVID, obviously hit the world in 2020. And we had Tyler and I were probably 19, 20, and we had 45 employees, just a complete madhouse, so to say. And we're like, COVID's here. We've got 40 employees in a 2,200 square foot facility. Like, COVID's here. Like, what do we do? And so, really, for kind of a safety standard, because March, nobody knew what COVID was. And so we actually shut down for 3 months just as kind of like a safety thing. And, our messaging on our site was like, hey, we shut down for COVID. It was a safety thing for our team. If you want to support us, please do. We love your support. We thank you a lot for it. But we don't know when your order is going to ship. And really for those 3 months, we still did, 25 to 35K a month and just organic sales, people willing to support us. And then when we opened back up 3 months later from March, so in June or so, we opened up with like 10 employees and slowly got back up to the 40 count. And took us a couple months to get caught up in orders. But really from there, we were like, we're caught up. Let's rock and roll. Let's do this again.
It's just signal after signal that the audience is ready for this
Yeah.
product,
Yeah,
which is
absolutely. And then,
super
from there,
exciting.
it was like, and this probably goes into probably your next topic was like, how do we scale this further? And we got to the point where, you can't really make these things by hand to really get to like the Walmarts of the world, the Targets of the world, and be profitable. And so we developed an internal process to really increase production by over 400% that allowed us to get to that level that we are here today, to where we're starting to slowly expand into retail stores. And we launched on Amazon about 3 months ago. So we're really kind of getting to the full gear of what the brand was meant to be from day one.
And it totally it gives you that moat as well, which we were talking about previously. It gives you that, you have such an amazing idea. The fact that they're so hard to make by conventional means is your moat. And then by building out this process, investing in this side of things, you're able to really solidify that moat, I imagine.
Absolutely. We obviously invested in some of our own internal manufacturing side of things, but it's also like, we are essentially creating a new category. One of the biggest questions we get from retailers is like, what category do you want to be in the store? Do you want to be in the cookies, the crackers, the cookies? Like, where should you be? And we constantly keep asking ourselves, and honestly, every retailer we talk to is different. So, like, we're essentially creating a new product here. We're creating a new category, which is obviously good and bad. There's a lot of challenges within it, but it's been a fun, wild journey, that's for sure.
So when you launched, and already we're just having instant sort of probably high ROAS success in those great ROAS pre-iOS 14 days, even with the packaging, which you didn't think was optimal at the time. And what kind of ads were working in the early days versus I want to get into what kind of ads are working now. Like in the beginning, was it just more strict sort of product shots and sort of, simple classic e-commerce stuff?
Yes, early days, it was like, here's our bag, here's the bites, go to our website. Like, it was very cut and dry for us. And what we learned really from day one is, if you say Muddy Bites, you're like, what is that? It doesn't really tell you what the product is. And so that was part of
No.
our thing with like our rebrand, is like, how do we make it kind of tie back to the actual product? And so, like with our ads, it was like, okay, so if we got somebody's attention span for 3 seconds, we got to let them know exactly what it is. And so, a lot of times it'd be overlay text that says bottom part of a sundae cone, picture of the cone, and then our bags would be like sitting in the car, shop now. So, like anything that we could do to quickly let them know what the product was, whether it was a really quick video or overlay text, it worked really, really well for us early. And then obviously we send them to the page. The first thing that they saw, especially if you go to our site now, the first thing you see is the cone and it says bite-sized waffle cones filled with chocolate. So as soon as we could tell them exactly what it is, like the easier and more, better driven those ads were for us.
I was curious, is it more of a male audience or a female audience?
So funny you say that. When we launched the brand, we thought we would be like dominantly male, like, just a guy snack kind of thing. And then, after time went on, we look at GA stats and Shopify stats and so on and so forth. We're primarily women. And so one of the things that
Hmm.
we're trying to find now is like, why are women buying it? Are they buying it for themselves? Are they buying it for their kids? Are they buying it for their spouses? Like, what are they doing for that product? And that's some of the stuff that we've really dived deep into in the last really kind of 2 to 3 months, to be honest, is learning more about our audience and how we can target them better.
That's super interesting. Let's talk about when so you hit the ability to grow with your, you were already growing with with ads at ease. You improved your scaling ability with your manufacturing process. Let's talk about how the impact of Fuck Jerry.
Yeah. Yeah. So we raised a bunch of money, or not a bunch, we raised a little bit of money back in March of 2020 here. And part of that raise was helping us build kind of like an advisory. I don't want to say board because we don't have a board, but just an advisory piece of our raise. And so part of that was bringing on the Fuck Jerry media team with Ben and Elliot and Guy. And so part of those guys, it was like, sure, we can use some of their assets of Fuck Jerry and their audience and stuff like that, but they also own What Do You Mean the board game, which brought in some of that retail experience that we kind of wanted to. Granted, it's totally different categories, but they know the right people to get us there. But going back to the Fuck Jerry, it's like FJ audience on Instagram, and honestly, I don't know the exact number off the top of my head right now, but I think it's 16 million plus. And so we
Yeah.
kind of saw that as like brand awareness for us in one degree. We can get them to our website, tell them what it is, we can help them convert. And so we brought them on in March. We started planning like ways that we could start utilizing their audiences and stuff like that. And I think we did a post in July, and that post in July did phenomenally well. It had almost 1 million likes on their post on their page. And what's nice about meme pages is once one big meme page posts it, the secondary meme pages with like 1 million, 5 million followers pick it up just free organically. So, off that one post, we probably saw close to 50 to 75 million impressions on kind of just Instagram itself, which ultimately drove, 100,000, 500,000 plus impressions to our site, which brought in a ton of traffic and a ton of revenue that really kind of boosted us in really good and bad ways. And the reason why I say good and bad is number one, good, obviously, brought in a ton of new customers and sales and all that stuff. But bad was because we didn't have the inventory ready for all that volume.
Mm.
Within 72 hours, we had 20,000 plus orders flow through our website just instantly. And I mean, nobody's really prepared for that, right? And so we didn't have
No.
inventory. We didn't have the systems in place. We weren't even tracking inventory, to be honest. Like those were some of the things that we were still like implementing. Literally the next week we're implementing inventory software. So like it was just really weird timing. And so because of that post, we like learned to implement software for inventory, for orders, for supply chain. And so it was really kind of a good and bad moment for us because now we're prepared for something like that again in the future.
Yeah. Let me guess about this post that went viral. I bet it was just the influencer experience. Like, ever want to eat the bottom of an ice cream cone? Someone did it. Like, was it literally that simple? Just explaining again the key value prop of what you built?
Yeah, so I'm trying to pull it up just to make it easy to kind of show and explain. But literally, like the thing that we've learned with kind of meme pages and influencer marketing is like the more organic looking the post does for us or like looks on the feed, like the better it does for us. The more we make it more of like a sponsory addy type thing, the worse it does. And so anything we can do to make it super organic, it works really, really well for us. Like I'm trying to pull it up here on my Instagram here on my phone, but like the post didn't even tag us. It didn't say anything about Muddy Bites. The photo literally just said like the caption said XYZ, and then it had three photos of our product, and that was literally it. We didn't have a link to our site. So essentially, people are either A, going to Instagram and searching for us based on the photo from the logo, or they're Googling us and finding our site, which was like super organically played.
Interesting. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about you. You told us you were at this point. You're still heavily D2C, or up until the last little while heavily D2C. Can you describe your sort of at this point your mix between D2C, Amazon, and retail?
Yeah, so we launched Amazon literally a week before FJ posted. And honestly, it was like the most perfect timing because it blew up our
Smart.
Amazon analytics so much. We grew from like, 5,000 in grocery to under 50, which is Amazon has never seen before. We literally had their corporate offices calling us and emailing us like, what in the world did you guys just do to jump that high? which is really pretty crazy for us. We went to number one in the cookie category, which is just insane in such a quick time with like less than 20 reviews. Like it was just bonkers. And so I think next year we're going to fly out to Seattle to meet some of the Amazon team. So like it was crazy. And then, like right now, today, right now we're filming this recording here in December of 2021. Right now, I'd say we're probably 95% D2C in Amazon and then 5% retail. And retail is just mainly Foxtrots in the bigger locations or bigger cities,
Yeah.
excuse me, and then kind of smaller mom and pop type shops. However, next year in 2022, we've got some really big contracts that I can't share yet that I wish I could. But we'll be probably like 70% retail, 30% D2C and Amazon. And that's with us not slowing down any of our D2C and Amazon efforts. It's just we're expanding that hard in the retail side of things to where, now we're in maybe 300 to 400 doors. Next year, we're hoping to be in about 15 to 20,000 doors. So we're going to have a really, really big jump here.
Can you just talk a little bit about the way you see your growth trajectory at a very high level, like where you're aiming to be in the next 3 years?
Yeah, so I mean, even like from 2019 to 2020, we grew over 1,000% year over year, and that was primarily just because 2019 was Kickstarter and 2020 was really just kind of our first selling year. And 2021 to 2022, we'll see about a 300% increase, and then really from 2022 to 2023, we'll see probably close to 300 to 500% increase. I mean, it's just really, really crazy growth, but like we've got some really good advisors on our team that are allowing us to really do it efficiently. And obviously doing it in the smart way to where we're not burning cash, we're doing it profitably, the best that we can. And so we've got a really good team built in place between our advisors and obviously our own internal team as well.
Amazing. And so this is all from that first round that sort of like launched things. That's been your sort of investment backing.
In terms of like our fundraise or the
Do your
FJ post, I
fundraise really?
guess,
Like, have you taken
or
any?
both
Have you taken
maybe.
other money? Have you like? I don't know if you want to talk about that.
Yeah, no, we've taken a little bit of money. I won't say the exact amount, but you could find it. But like, I mean, every week we probably get asked by a different VC firm or a different firm, like, hey, if you guys are looking for money, like, let us
Yeah,
know. So like, even when we raised money, it only took us 2 weeks to complete the round, just because literally people are willing to give us cash because the product's so new, the category's so new. And so, if we ever were to go raise money to really, really ramp this up, for us to get more money, it's gonna be fairly pretty simple and quick. I mean, we've got literally a Google sheet with probably 100 rows of firms and stuff that we've talked to. So, we could scale this up really, really quick if we wanted to. So yeah.
amazing. You mentioned Iowa. I wanted to mention what are the benefits of building a business in Iowa?
I do meetings every week, and usually, it's the icebreaker, the beginning of the call is like, "Where are you from?" And I usually say Iowa, and 9 out of 10 times it's like, "What in the world are you in Iowa?" I was born and raised here. Went to a really small private Catholic school in a town of about 400 people. And after my sophomore year of high school, our school actually closed because our town and school was so small. And we merged with a different private school about 30 minutes away, which is how I met my wife through the public school there. But born and raised in Iowa, I do traveling to Florida, California, Chicago, like everywhere. And Iowa is number one, like cost of living is really cheap. There's really good, tax or government incentives for businesses that are launching here in Iowa, especially late here, especially with how much money is being flown around between governments and firms and all that stuff. So, like, for us, it just makes sense to not only have our warehouse. Our warehouse actually in North Sioux City, South Dakota, which is literally right in the border of Iowa. But we learned South Dakota doesn't have corporate income taxes. So, like the Midwest, there's a lot of little gems here that people just don't know about. The cost of living's cheap. You can find buildings really
I
cheap.
bet.
Our warehouse is about 8 to 10,000 square feet, and our rent is under $3,000.
Unreal.
And I've talked to many people. If they want to get that in California, it's going to cost them 15 to 20 grand. So like, it's just everything's so much cheaper here in the Midwest. The only problem I do have is where I'm living. The actual biggest airport is about 3 hours away,
Mm.
or smaller airports about 90 minutes. Like if I want to go travel for business or whatever, it's like I got to drive a ways to an airport, which I'm sure many other people have too. But living in Iowa it's really good for us,
It's great
and
for
we love
Iowa. I
it.
bet Iowa loves having you too, right? Like building this team, building this brand. Like it's I bet like your ties with the city or with the sorry, with the state are quite good or the part that you live in anyway.
We're starting to. We're all kind of remote now, so we're kind of all in different
Yeah.
regions. So like we're all starting to kind of pick up local stores that can carry us. And like I live in a town that has five golf courses within a 10-minute drive. And so like I'm trying to get in all these different golf courses and just create that brand awareness. And even on the golf course, it's like I hand bags out and I just create more relationships. And so like for an Iowa business to do something fun like this, it's really pretty unique. And like even the other piece of that is, we both graduated, Tyler and I, we both graduated high school in Lamars, Iowa, which is the ice cream capital of the world where Blue Bunny is.
Okay.
So like we have connections to kind of not only ice cream world, but there's other connections around that because obviously Blue Bunny knew, waffle
Yeah.
cones and all that stuff. So like we've got all these different connections just right here in Iowa that like if you told somebody, hey, move to Iowa, we could do something cool here, you would think that we're super crazy, but it's working out.
Pretty unique. It just to have led with it, the tip of the spear is the bottom of the cone, and it just seems like I bet everyone is approaching you. How is it helping on your retail journey? Are you having the big dogs come to you in some cases?
Yeah, so the biggest part of CPG is like how do you get this thing in stores? And what's really nice about us so far is because we are kind of creating a new category and such a unique product, is we're having retailers reach out to us. Like we had Target category buyers literally fill out our contact form on our website. Same with Walmart, same with Costco. Like we literally have these big dogs coming to us, which is just pretty unheard of, especially to get category buyers. Because otherwise you got to go through brokers and all these different email chains. It turns into a complete logistical nightmare. And so, obviously, if we can have these guys reach out to us, we can eliminate brokers, we can eliminate distribution centers, we can work directly with these retailers to where we get more money, they get a better margin, and it's just kind of a win-win situation, which in turn allows us to expand into more retail stores a lot quicker than, going through all these different brokers and all that stuff.
Totally. Okay, let's go back to your D2C ad mix a little bit. So, obviously, your influencer posts from these huge accounts, organic, have become a big part of your mix. Talk about your paid advertising, sort of today, what it looks like in terms of, the kind of ads that are really working for you.
Yeah, so obviously here in 2021, the whole privacy changes between Apple and Facebook and all that stuff has really rolled out to where, some D2C operators are like, where do I put my money? And so we were kind of in that same boat. We were really, really primarily dominant Facebook and Instagram ads to start the year, like basically 100% of our budget. And then when, iOS 15 and 14 or whatever rolled out, it was almost like hitting a brick wall. Like, what do we do now? And so we actually took some of that Facebook and Instagram ad budget, pulled it back, and we started throwing that money into like parody marketing between meme pages and influencers. And then just testing different verticals of like campaigns instead of running, a Facebook ad directly to our site. Let's run into a landing page to join our email and go through top of funnel and stuff like that. So we've gotten really creative in terms of different marketing fronts. Email marketing for us has been always been huge. We do 25 to 40% of our DTC revenue through email. And that's really just by setting up good flows, doing regular campaigns, switching those campaigns up. It's really been dominant for us. And shout out to Sarah. She helps me a lot with that stuff. Um, but yeah,
What's been the key for converting that social interest into an email address? Because I think that's one of the hardest problems I think for brands out there. You created this amazing product that has a perfect fit into fun culture. I think that probably helps a lot. But like, what's been your best advice for people that are trying to get social, traffic into an email?
Yeah. So, the first thing before TikTok really got popular, we tried Snapchat. And the thing that we learned with Snapchat, it was like 13 to 18-year-old, primarily women, kids basically. And so, like, for them to go and spend 30 to 50 bucks on snacks, like, it's just not going to work out. And so we learned, okay, Snapchat's not the best vertical. And so we scaled back the Snapchat advertising to basically just being retargeting. And then obviously TikTok blew up, which it could be anywhere from 15-year-old to 60-year-old now from what we've learned. And so for us to convert some of these younger audiences on social media to get them to either A, give us their email, or B, purchase an order is really kind of following them, or I shouldn't say follow them, but just constantly kind of like being there, so to say. So if they see your ad on TikTok, or the CEO said post on TikTok, they go to our website. Great. Now we're going to retarget them on Facebook. Our pop-ups do extremely well on our sites. We did a free giveaway that used to convert about 15%. It was literally for 5 bags a month. Like one winner out
Wow.
of 30,000 plus entries, one person's going to win 5 bags. Like your odds of winning that are so slim. And we would get 15% option rates. And so
Yeah.
really for us, like it got to the point where if we can just drive 100,000 visitors to our site a month, get 15 to 20,000 of them on our email, we can get a good chunk of those people to convert through our flows and campaigns and emails, since we're already doing 20 to 40% of our revenue through there. It really made sense for our D2C kind of avenues of just getting people on our email list. And so, pop-ups work for us. We just switched over to Attentive, and those are converting really well to get both email and SMS. And so obviously now we're mixing an SMS campaign to that whole mix too.
Nice. You mentioned during Black Friday, Cyber Monday that the SMS was. I think I've heard this from a lot of the guests actually that this most recent year that SMS has been a big revelation for people. Did you have a lot of success with that?
Yeah, so SMS did pretty well for us as well. I think we literally just had a call with our rep, and I think we had, I think, a 42 ROI, 42x ROI on our whole kind of SMS, billing or whatever that we did. And kind of our whole strategy with SMS is like, we don't want to be super salesy. We don't want to blast them every week. Hey, Muddy Bites are for sale. Like, come buy them now. And so we really do a pretty good job at being conversational with our SMS strategy of like, hey, like, happy Friday. We hope you have a great weekend. Like, reply back with one thing you're going to do this weekend. And we would have support agents that are like, I'm playing baseball this weekend or golfing this weekend. It's like, whatever. And we always would reply like, hey, good luck, beat your buddies or whatever it is. Like being super conversational and fun, because it built up
Yep.
that community. So that way, when we would go and say like, hey, we have a 10% off sale, those sale campaigns would convert like crazy for us. And so it really worked out really good for us to kind of make SMS like a conversational kind of platform for us.
That's awesome insight. I wanted to ask, what does your marketing team look like at this point?
Honestly, we're a lean team of a total of 10 right now. We do have a marketing agency that helps us with our paid search and paid social. And then between Sarah and I, we handle all of our email and SMS. And then like our social team is just Sarah, or excuse me, social team is Emma and Jessica. And then we've got 4 people in our warehouse, and then it's just Tyler and I. So we're a pretty lean team. Um,
Wow.
so yeah.
Do you handle Amazon internally as well?
Um, Great question. So Amazon, we have a contractor, just an individual solo contractor that we work with that does a fantastic job for us.
Nice.
Amazon is continually growing month over month for us, and we keep grabbing the categories there. So it's just a really good channel for us.
I was thinking about it when you mentioned just having the fact that you had it set up before the FJ post, and how smart that was because you want to be where customers are. It's an interesting case study with yours. Obviously, it was the right move to be there and to drive those sales. I wonder how many of them would have bounced from Amazon because they couldn't find anything like your product.
Yeah, I mean, even with like Amazon, for the longest time, I was like, I don't want to be in Amazon. I don't want to be in Amazon. We don't own that aid. We don't own that data. We can't get their email, so on and so forth. Like, I just don't want to do it. And we finally got to the point where like, let's just try it. Let's give it like a 3 month test, see how it does. And obviously, it worked out pretty well for us. And that's what I would say. The same thing for brand owners that are kind of in that same boat is like, Amazon's here to stay. Amazon is not going to go away. They're only going to get bigger
Yeah.
and better. And if you're on the edge, just give them a shot for 2 to 3 months and do what you can. And even for us, when we launched on Amazon, Amazon does not do FBA, Amazon Prime with chocolate during the summer. They don't want to deal with melting, whatever. So whenever somebody would order through Amazon, it would actually go through our warehouse and we would still fulfill it. However, in
Mm.
October, it switched over to where they now will carry chocolate just because it's going to the winter months. And
Right.
so now we are FBA, so to say, and obviously nobody can really beat Amazon FBA anyway. So it's like win-win situation.
That's awesome. So you have these incredible growth goals. Retail sounds like it, you've got a lot of options there and a lot of people potentially coming to you for that. What's your vision for like the future of how you're going to market the product? Like what's your vision for the future of the marketing that's going to get you to these lofty heights?
Um, First, there's different flavors, right? So we ran milk chocolate for 2 years just as a solo product. We never really had issues, and we started getting like product fatigue to where, okay, we need to launch a new flavor, give people something new to try. So we launched dark chocolate. That drop went really, really well. fast forward a few more months, we dropped white chocolate. And so whenever we do drops, we kind of do like where have it available for 48 hours. We ship out what we can, get feedback, we improve, and then we drop it officially. So like for us to kind of scale these numbers, get into more stores, number one is expanding the flavor, bracket
Yep.
or expansion, cookies and cream, peanut
It's got
butter,
to be
so
up
on and
there.
so
Caramel,
forth.
nice caramel one could be good. Yeah.
Exactly. And like the other piece of that step two is like different compounds. So putting like sea salt on chocolate and stuff like
Mm.
that. And then like step three, the different verticals, trying different cone flavors. So instead of like a vanilla waffle cone type cone, try a chocolate waffle cone, try a strawberry chocolate cone, to where we can do some really fun like Valentine's Day pink cone or red cone with like pink frosting, whatever. Like we can get super creative with that because we own that manufacturing piece
Yep.
side of things where we can get really fun, really creative. And then like the whole other piece of that is different bag sizes. Like right now we would call it our original. We'll eventually come out with like a smaller convenience, like a 7-Eleven type bag, and then, eventually like a Costco family type bag. So, I mean, there's a lot of different things we can do just on flavors alone, but then obviously we've got the different bag sizes, mainly for retail side of things. Online we won't really have different sizes, but yeah.
Nice. Okay, so that's on the product side. Now, what about on the growth marketing? What are you sort of planning on that side? What's really fueling that growth on the marketing side?
Really testing different, obviously, Facebook and Instagram ads are going to be here for a while, testing different verticals there. But on the other side of that is testing different things on like the TikTok, especially right now. And along with that, influencers. We would send out product influencers on a very, very small level, and they would always do really, really good. So like now for us, what we're testing over the next really quarter is like, okay, if we sent out, 500 packages to influencers, what does that look like on an ROI basis for us if we sent out 500 boxes and if they shared on their stories or posts, so on and so forth? But the other side of that is, FJ being kind of like a meme party page is like, okay, we've got FJ on our side, right? We didn't have to pay for that. And if we did, it would have costed us, a lot of money. But what if we could do that on a smaller scale and go after pages that have 1 million to 5 million followers, pay them $1,000 or whatever it is, and see if we can replicate what we do with FJ on a smaller scale and get a really good ROI on that. So that's some of the verticals that we're testing. Like I think even next week we're trying some different stuff on pages. And so that's where some of that Facebook ad budget is going to some of these different kind of meme, kind of advertising, sort of say. And that's what we used
Cool.
to do in my old ecom brand as well, is just testing kind of these meme or party pages as I call them.
Have you thought of acquiring any this? This is something I often it is to be a distribution channel in your business and to actually to own the audience in terms of content in different ways. So that opportunity, with these small pages, I feel like there is this opportunity to go to them and say like, hey, I'll buy 50% of your business or 51% of this, and then sort of partner with them. Has that entered your frame of mind?
It actually has, literally about 3 weeks ago. I brought it up to my social team of like, hey, like instead of paying these guys 1,000, 2,000 bucks, like what if we just went out and bought 10 pages?
Yes.
And obviously, like, we got to post regular content and we got to mix in our content like organically every so often so it doesn't get like repetitive. And like, there's a lot of moving pieces with that. Like, if we own 5, 10 different pages and it's like, okay, we almost need a social team just for those pages and not
Mm.
really associated to Money Bites. Like, we just need a team to manage those, either it's content, comments, so on and so forth. And then it's like, if we own 10 pages, we can't post once a week because then it just gets super repetitive and the audience just knows what you're doing. We would have to drip our content, once a quarter or whatever it is. And so like then it's like, okay, does it make sense to spend, 20 grand on a page,
Mm.
and like so it's just there's a lot of moving pieces behind that, but we've definitely thought about it. And I think we're gonna dive really deep in that here in Q1 of like what does it look like if we went and got some pages and like the timelines and stuff like that. And what's really nice about that is we've got the FJ team literally a text away of like, hey, we've got this idea. What do you think about it? Because they've been doing that for years. And
Yeah.
so, we can go to them and say, hey, we've got an idea. What do you guys think? And they can say, go do it, or they can shut us down right away and we'll know really good validation of why.
Yeah. Oh, that's an excellent thing to have. Nice. Well, I wanted to ask, one of the questions we ask all the guests is if we were to give you a $50,000 grant to go towards the growth of your business, where would you put it and why?
Yeah, and I think it goes right off our last conversation of like investing in these meme and party counts. I think, if we had 50K right now, I'd go buy a few pages, whether it was two really good pages or six semi good pages, and like use some of that money to not only go towards those pages, but like build like either like a VA team or some team to help manage those accounts and start mixing in our content to see how that can do for us in the long term. Because it's like Facebook and Instagram ad costs are only going to climb as we go here. And so we've got to figure out ways that we can kind of distribute that, not only, advertising dollars, but how can we get more traffic to our site? How can we get more sales? And I think looking at some of those meme and party pages and influencers and stuff is a good route for us, especially with how like easy the product is. Like if we can tell people what it is, it sells itself.
And it's such a delightful product. If that's your job to be done, if you think about it, is to delight people, then you could be a meme page. You could have a meme page called Muddy Bites Memes or something, that, you know what I mean? Like, because delight is what you're selling in a lot of ways. There's a lot of memes that delight people as well. So you could just brand it under yourself.
Yeah, and I mean, even on the whole meme thing, it's like a year ago, if you would have told me that we should post memes on our pages, I would have thought you were crazy. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to work. And then our social team was like, let's just try it, see what happens. And they did it, and it started kicking butt. And so, like, all of our meme posts now get like 800 to like 2,000 likes, and every other post is like 200 to 400. So, like, it's just this huge jump every time we post a meme account. And so for us, it's like it's a whole new kind of category and or not category, but like new approach
Yeah.
that we can kind of go after.
Budweiser has a chief meme officer, right? Like this is a
That's right.
this is a real thing. I wanted to ask,
I was gonna
do
say.
you run them as paid? Do you run your memes on your paid side of things as well?
So that's the other thing that we're going to be testing here in 2022 as well. FJ posted really, really good, and we ran that as an ad, and it had really good numbers. And like some of the comments would be like, "Oh my God, I saw this on Instagram. Now I see it on Facebook. Like you're following me, so to say." So like there'd be some kind of like fun, kind of like nerdy comments like that. But it's like it converts well. It does pretty well for us. So like if we've got a good meme that works on our page, test on our page first, great. Testing on a different meme account, great. And then we can throw it on Facebook and help that, bring our CPAs and all that stuff down. So it works pretty good.
Very cool. I said this in the pre-interview, but Tank's good news. If anyone in our audience knows Tank or know Tank's good news, I swear that's another like 10 million segment for you that you
Yeah,
can
yeah,
check out.
for sure.
I want to just talk a little bit more about the brand, because I think the rebrand is after looking, and we can maybe we'll put the links in the show notes here. But looking at your new brand from your old brand, it does seem like this incredible evolution. You brought up the notion of having your little coney character on the bottom, and I wanted to ask, like, how else do you use this? What's the name of this coney character, and how do you use him?
Buddy the Bite. Buddy the Bite. Our when we first launched the brand, we had kind of this, I call it a crappy yellow, kind of just milk chocolate, and then like a weird yellow. And it was just kind of a super weird brand. It was some weird font that was like super hard to read in a retail shop. And we're like, if we really want to get to this to where we want to be, we need to rebrand. If you guys go to our Instagram page, at Money Bites, and scroll way down a ways, you'll see the old branding. You'll be like, wow, it's day and night. And so part of this whole rebrand was one, a clean logo. Number two, a good secondary kind of like nostalgic ice cream parlor type font. And then number three, some like fun colors. So we got like a brand blue that's kind of, brings you back to some of those ice cream parlor type vibes. We got some bright colors that kind of bring that vibe as well. But then part of that branding was introducing Buddy the Bite, which is kind of a waffle cone character. And just for like, if you're listening to get a picture, it's literally a waffle cone with legs and arms on it and a smiley face. And so it gives us kind of like this fun kind of personality character to the brand. And we call him Buddy the Bite. And so we introduce him through emails. We introduce him through memes. And so we're really kind of bringing him into the picture as like a brand as itself. And now we introduced Buddy the Bite plush toy through our website that you can literally buy Buddy the Bite as like a stuffed animal for like a little kid to cuddle with, or something to put on your
I love
desk.
that.
Mine's over here in the closet, but it's been a kind of a fun little product for us that worked really good as like an upsell or order bump for Black Friday, Cyber Monday.
I imagine. And it's funny, we just got some Ebbets Field flannels. They make like old timey baseball hats. But I just got one made for the D2C team and for some of the people that purchased our course. And I just think if you put Buddy on an Ebbets Field flannels baseball hat, that could be a big seller for you as well.
Yeah, I mean, like that's the whole other piece is we've got obviously I'm wearing now. If you watch the video, I've got the Muddy Bites long sleeve T-shirt on here. But like merch is kind of one other thing that we're gonna kind of look at doing like a merch drop that has like Buddy the Bite hoodie and hat and stuff like that and see how that converts. Like we're not trying to be a clothing brand, but if we could do like a fun drop here and there, I think it could, number one, AOV boost a little bit, new customers and just kind of a fun thing that we could do from time to time.
Just new connections with the customer, really, right? And I think your idea of doing it
Yeah,
as drops is obviously the way to do it as well. Make it a limited edition thing, drive the hype cycle around it. Like it's got it's got legs.
yeah, absolutely. Like drops do really good for flavors, and Last Crumb is a great example of doing amazing drops. So it's like just finding ways that we can do kind of some fun flavor or merch drops, and give it to the audience and build up some more of that community stuff.
Nice. Finally, just a little bit about TikTok. So I know you mentioned TikTok. You worked with influencers on TikToks, but you also have a really strong presence yourself on TikTok. What has it taken to get to where you're at on TikTok?
Yeah, TikTok's our biggest channel at 125,000 followers. And primarily like early on, like it took us a little bit to figure out how to use TikTok. Like I'm on it every day, like flipping through photos, but like if you told me to use like a trending video, I had no idea what to use. And so like I credit that to Jessica and Emma a ton because they've built that up really, really well for us. But like for us, is figuring out when to post, how to post, and like the type of video. So like one time we would spend like 2 days on a certain video just from like editing and sound and like getting this thing like looking really, really good. And we learned like those videos just didn't do good. And then we'd literally take our iPhone, 15 million views. And so we got into this mentality of like, let's just start posting every single day for a week, see how that does. And then like some of our advisors and stuff that we work with too, they've got brands and they work with stuff too. And we got to the point where we did like one day we posted 3 times. And two of those videos did, okay. And then there was like one video that did like 5 million views. And it's just like it's so crazy how the TikTok algorithm just randomly spits out a video and it does really, really well. And so like not only for us, but like anybody that's listening, like if you're looking to get better at TikTok, just start posting. Like it doesn't have to be a super high end production. It can just literally be something that you film in 20 seconds, throw it up there because you literally have no idea what's ever going to go viral on TikTok. It's just kind of a guessing game of just putting more videos out there and seeing what works.
Yeah, we were talking about this previously, but Lumberland is this brand that I follow. They literally just
Yeah.
make old timey baseball bats that have been converted into beer mugs. And I'm bringing up old timey baseball a lot for some reason today, but they just literally go up to staff members in their office and ask questions and just engage and just sort of have like make the people in the company who have agreed to do this, I guess, part of that brand. And as if you have the right product, which again you do, something delightful, that's an
Yeah.
option as well.
Yeah. And like, there's a lot of things you could do on TikTok. There's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that you could do. And like for us and our manufacturing side of things, we don't want to share that. But like in all of our teams remote, so like we can't do any like fun office type stuff. But like there's so many businesses that are showing some great behind the scenes of like building the website and like doing stuff like that. That really kind of like lets the audience really get like a step inside of the brand that really kind of gets them to connect deeper with you, which is ultimately what you want. The deeper a customer can get with the brand, it's like it's easier. Excuse me, it's an easier sell for the brand to the customer.
Across any channel.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. It's like it brings down your acquisition costs. Like it's just a
Oh,
win-win-win.
on LinkedIn, and they got a cease and desist from Reese's peanut butter cups because they launched a peanut butter product and it had their orange was too close to their orange, and they made a
Oh,
mini
really?
document. They made like a pretty slickly produced documentary about getting sued by Reese's, which I thought was a really I watched it and then I bought some midday squares to support them.
Yeah, it's like even with like Cuts clothing. I got a couple of those shirts. And so like they have like a whole series that's like behind the brand of like building it and like stuff like that. So I think like those kind of documentaries of like building a brand not only good for like the founders to like get their name out there, so to say, for like brand recognition, but also obviously for the brand to like for consumers to like get to know like the people and the faces behind the brand of what they're buying. So it helps a lot.
And it's the distinct advantage of D2C in the space of bigger companies, and it really strikes at the core of what D2C is, and good on you for doing it.
Yeah, and even with like the big corporations, like during Black Friday, Cyber Monday, we did a small business Saturday email, and that was our best email we've done all year. So like
Wow.
anything you could do, and obviously, don't. I mean, we are still technically a small business, but as like a Gymshark, they're not a small business, So it's like use that with a grain of salt, so to say. But like, we've learned like text-based emails do so well. But anything you can do to like really connect deeper to a customer one way or another is just huge.
What are your ultimate goals with the company? Do you want to become like the number one cookie product in the world? Like what's your top level goal?
Yeah, I'd be lying if I was saying I want to make Muddy Bites for the next 50 years and make it a family business. Obviously, want to dominate the U.S., expand into international, and we don't want to do things too fast, too quickly. But long term, our goal is to build this to as big as we can. Make a really good product to give to customers, build a really good culture and team behind it, and then eventually exit at some point, and then move on to the next thing and see what we can do from there.
I love it. I'm just trying to think of that other like covetous food thing that you really want. There was always a peanut on the top of a peanut butter my mom would get. My brother and I would fight over it. So maybe I'll just release a bunch of peanuts. It's only that one nut. I don't know if
Right,
that's gonna work.
exactly.
Don't steal the idea, Jared. But if people want to get in touch with you, what do you recommend? Obviously, they can go to muddybites.com, and I've just found out that these are available in Canada through this one retail connection. So I'm going to secure the bag for my daughter's
Skin the
stocking.
bag.
I'm going to secure the bag for sure. Um, but if people want to get in touch with you, follow your journey. How do you recommend they do that?
Honestly, I'm the most active on Twitter. It's just at Jarod Steffes, and Jared is spelled Jarod, which you don't see very too often. And so, I post on there. I try to once a day at least, but easier said than done. But that's where I'm most active. I try sharing behind the scenes and stuff like that. So, hit me up anytime.
Thanks so much for listening to today's episode. If you're not a subscriber to our newsletter, you can do that right now at direct-to-consumer, all one word.co. I'm Eric Dick, and this has been the D2C podcast. We'll see you next time.